Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we're live. Welcome back to the continuing journey, the quest to review every single episode of the...
Did you mute it?
Yeah, you don't want to hear yourself talking, do you?
No.
To review every
But
single
there's
episode
still
of the
sound in it,
X-Files there. What do you mean there's still
Yeah,
sound?
I guess there is. It's a different device.
Yeah. Anyway, we're reviewing Season 4, Episode 2, Home, which is coincidentally the very first episode we watched.
And it's actually the first episode of the X-Files I ever saw. When I was a kid, I saw the episodes Home, and I saw the episode Squeeze. You know, those were the only two episodes I ever saw. You know, so that's what originally drew me back to
Yeah, I think I'd seen Deep Throat and Jersey Devil at one point on a VHS tape, but other than that, I hadn't watched it. But we purchased like Home, the episode for $2.50 on the Microsoft Store, and it was pretty decent. So I went ahead and bought the whole series, and we've just been working our way through since then. On the strength of this episode alone, we purchased the series. And
yeah, it's really good. It has a lot of good ideas about progress and regression. And,
yeah, it's a pretty keynote episode. You know, it starts off in this, like, it's in this small town, and these fucking degenerate, like, mutated hillbilly fuckers are burying a deformed baby in the fucking backyard, and it's fucking sketchy. And
they, like, give birth to it and cut the umbilical cord, and it's just a really gruesome scene as they're cutting the umbilical cord with scissors.
It's kind of like Eraserhead almost with this child.
Yeah.
They fucking bury it. We cut to the X-Files, and then we get this opening scene of these kids playing on the baseball diamond. You have, like, the traditional American pastime, and they're playing the game, and it's this idyllic scene of childhood.
They throw the fucking ball in the peacock's yard, and they're all scared because their ball went in the fucking, like, scary house yard, you know. The kid's fucking rubbing dirt on his hands to get a better grip of the baseball bat, you know. It's just really nice.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an idyllic scene, and it's immediately contrasted with the kid at home plate. He's rubbing his foot in the mud, and it picks up blood, and there's a fucking like a fetus there, like a dead fucking fetus. So Mulder and Scully get called in. Mulder picks up the baseball, and he's smelling the baseball there. And I thought Mulder was pretty fucked to be smelling the baseball. It's like, why would he be smelling the baseball?
Now, right off the start there, and it says the episode name Home. You see the home plate. What do you think the significance of that is?
Nothing.
Like the home plate.
There is
no. I think there is some level of significance there. I just haven't put my finger on it. And ultimately in the episode, like, it shows how the peacocks are it's their home. And it has that theme, and then in the end, they're getting back to a new home.
Some guy
like when you run around the baseball base.
Pointed out in chat that the first mature-rated television episode was this episode of The X-Files. And it was really controversial with the censors because of all the gore and the fucked up shit in it. Because it's a pretty fucked up episode, and it presents some really horrific concepts with this, like, incest family or whatever. But, like, Mulder and Scully are, like, investigating it at the scene there, and the sheriff comes, and he tells them that this is, like, the sort of town where, there's no progress, there's no modern society, nobody locks their doors, everybody trusts each other, and it's, like, a high-trust society. But as soon as he saw what happened...
And it's nice and peaceful, and even Mulder's reminisced about, like, when he was playing baseball with his sister when he was a kid, and how he'd like to move out of the big city and move somewhere like this, and settle down,
Yeah, he's waxing nostalgically about his childhood and about this time where he was out in the country and they didn't have to lock doors or worry about anything, and it was a peaceful and pure time. And a lot of people have that idea of America, the idealized 1950s version that's like that.
And it paints two images. Like, it shows, because the three peacock boys are standing on their porch watching them, And the sheriff says that they built that home in the Civil War, and they've lived on that farm ever since. And there's no running water, no electricity, anything. And, they don't understand English, So it shows, that level of no progress, but then also it contrasts that to the small town, which is really nice. And they do have electricity and running water. It's not like they don't live in the modern world, right? There is some level of progress, but they've still maintained their sense of community and
I think what the episode is trying to get across is that we yearn for that more primitive time, but it also had its drawbacks to it. In more primitive times, there were really savage, fucked up people that did really savage, fucked up things. And so it wasn't all just wonderful and sunshines and rainbows in previous ages. But that's what the song is almost ironic, this nostalgic, wonderful, wonderful, the sheriff's wife's being killed. That was really Kino when the song hits and they get in the car. It's a really fucking Kino moment in the program. But, there's a lot going on here. It's kind of a subversive message against, tradition and against the past, because they're kind of saying that modernity should be embraced. But not necessarily, because they do show the positive aspects of tradition and all that.
I don't know. I think it shows the fucking, with those two different, the town versus, the fucking Peacock's residence. I think it shows that the ideal is the town. But the Peacock's residents are so fucking, about conserving the way it is that they've actually regressed. Yeah. Because you either progress or regress, right? Whereas the town has progressed enough, but not too much. And that's why, when the sheriff is sitting on the porch and he's saying, I just want to get one last glimpse of it before it all changes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's fucking... It shouldn't be disturbed. It's progressing at the right rate there.
They go to the sheriff's department where this deputy is the pastor in town, and... he won't let them look at the body in his office and lock the office because people know he doesn't lock his office. So he puts them in this broom closet with this fetus he's been storing in the refrigerator.
Bathroom. It's just one of those small town restaurant bathrooms. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So that they're
doing the autopsy on the sink, on the bathroom sink.
And it's fucked up and deformed from inbreeding and shit. I mean, you basically know what's going on here, but Mulder and Scully still don't really know. And Buddy's the sheriff's trying to cover for them and be those boys are simple and feeble, Well, it turns out they're not so feeble, in this episode. There's a lot of sexual tension between Mulder and Scully where they have these scenes about...
Well, there is, yeah. There's a scene right after that, and Scully's fucking talking about, the trauma the mother would have went through, and Mulder tells her that, I've never thought of you as a mother before, Scully. I'm thinking of you as a mother. And then he starts talking about, some, ubermensch mating with Scully. And then Scully asks him about his genetics, and he talks about how he has 100% pure Bavarian phenotype.
It was strange that they wrote in for David Duchovny to say that he had 100% pure Bavarian phenotype, but they did. They did write that in. It was quite a strange line. Akali here in the chat says you have a very fine cherry on your cigar there, Surfer. He's complimenting it. It's nicely cherried there,
Yeah, it's a nice cigar. It's a Monte Cristo, I got new cigars today, so I felt like smoking one.
Yeah. But basically what ends up happening, the inbred retarded hick family gets wind that the sheriff's fucking coming, or that the sheriff is onto them, so they go and fucking kill the sheriff and his family.
Well, what happens, because Mulder and Scully go and fucking investigate at the fucking Peacock's residence, and the boys are gone.
Oh yeah,
but
there's
the mother
the blood
under the bed sees them, right?
Yeah.
So because they went and disturbed that, the fucking Peacocks retaliated, right? Because they wanted to keep everything the way it was. Right? And the sheriff knew that. And that's why he knew things were about to change and something bad was going to happen. And that's why I think the sheriff didn't fucking...
He ultimately, he ultimately went down with the ship of kind of the social mores of his society, where he still didn't lock his door, even though he knew there was trouble coming. He didn't keep his gun at his bedside. He kept it in another room, you know.
In this cookie tin?
In this cookie tin.
But it shows how, like, we have the tendency to conserve the bad with the good. Like, because we love the good so much and we want to keep the good the way it is, like the sheriff did, he left the peacocks alone and let them do their fucked up shit because he didn't want them to retaliate, you know, because they were being fucked with and fuck up all the good, right?
Yeah. Somebody asked, wasn't there a fucked up grandma character? Yeah, there was. It was their mother who was like ancient and fucking toothless and deformed with no arms and legs, all fucked up, that they were like breeding and having sex with, is what's revealed to have happened, and it's pretty fucking gruesome. And
you know, and it looks at, it's looking at like interventionism, right? Because like the peacocks, realistically, because they were fucking so regressed and so regressive, they should have been intervened with, but like the town itself shouldn't have been intervened with, right? But it's interesting. There's some really good ideas there that it explores.
Oh, yeah. So Mulder and Scully, like, fucking, you know, nut up. Like, the Charles Bronson pastor comes in and is like, I'll even the odds. You don't need to call for backup because this will make the difference.
And no, it's a really keynote scene, too, when the fucking, I gotta note, when the peacocks, they drive there, the Wonderful Wonderful is playing, and they fucking kill the sheriff and his wife with the bat. Like, right as they're about to walk in, it shows fucking Mulder sitting in his hotel room, and he's watching a show about, like, hyenas, and it's talking about how the eldest comes in and fucking circles the prey to indicate to the younger ones that it's safe to fucking approach. You know, and it's fucking talking on the TV in the nature documentary about, like, the animal instinct of the hyenas. Meanwhile, the fucking peacocks are coming in and doing just that.
Yeah.
You know, it's pretty good.
It is pretty fucking good. So Mulder and Scully go up with the pastor. The pastor goes to the front door and there's a fucking booby trap with an axe and he gets his head cut off. He gets murked. So, like, Mulder and Scully, at this point, I feel like they should have went for backup. But they decide they're going to fucking go full-on cowboy. They fuck with these pigs. They let the pigs out of the pen, which, like, draws the brothers out of the house.
You know, I didn't really get what Mulder said. He said that, like, when they're, like, wrestling the pigs out of the pen, he goes, Scully, he's like, would you think of me less of a man if I told you I'm sort of excited?
What does that mean? Like, what did he mean by this?
You know, he's wrestling the pigs out of the pen. I don't know. I just fucking haven't really put my finger on that one yet.
Yeah. It's weird. So anyway, they end up in the fucking house. And at some point, Scully has, like, a conversation with the mother where it's, like, this intense showdown where, like, Scully's trying to tell her to get her sons to surrender. She's like, my sons are good boys, and you're obviously not a mother, you know.
She goes, this is our home, you know. Right as they're coming there, she says to the boys, she goes, you show them this is our home, and they're not going to change it, you know. And then she says that, like, how she got in the car accident and I saw my arm lying on my dead husband's lap. And the boys brought me home and sewed my arm back together like they learned in the war in Northern Aggression. You know, like we learned in the war in Northern Aggression. They're such good boys. And she's got like 4 teeth, like 3 on the top and 1 on the bottom. You know, and Scully goes, well, like, they killed the sheriff and his wife. And she goes, you obviously don't have children. You know, or you'd understand the pride when your boys would do anything for their mother. You know? It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's a pretty
it's a
good
good idea there, you know.
And anyway, it ends up fucking happening that I think the two brothers get killed, right? And then the other one fucking escapes.
Yeah, Mulder fights both of them.
Yeah.
Even though they don't feel pain, like because of their genetic inbreeding, they don't feel pain. She says that to Scully. Mulder somehow fucking defeats these two cavemen. Well, no, he defeats one and the other one dies from a trap. He, like, tries to pounce on Scully and trips over the wire and gets murdered.
Yeah. But at the end of the episode, the fucking mother is alive with the one son, and they've fled town, and they're going to find a new home and start a new family. And
you can't keep a peacock down. You know, and they might come back. I hope they come back.
It's the idea almost, I think, being expressed there that certain, like, animalistic, primitive nature will always be a part of man. And even though you try and suppress it or eradicate it, it'll never truly go away. I think is what's being expressed there in the episode. But it's overall a very good episode, a lot to ponder, very good performances, grotesque, fucking horrifying shit in this episode. You know, very fucked up concepts in it and all that. Surf, what would you give this one out of 10?
I'd give it a 9. You
Yeah.
know, I really like this episode.
I'm giving it a 9 too.
Yeah, the ideas in it, like, when it's looking wonderful, you know, like, in the fucking Cadillac, you know.
It's pretty
just
good.
Fucking,
it's pretty fucking good.
The scene, like, when it has the fucking hyena on the TV when they're doing the murders, you know, it's just fucking, like, it's just perfectly well done, you know.
It is.
And it talks about the ideas of progress versus regression and fucking, you know, it's really good.
All right, I think that's all we got for this one. We'll see you guys in the next one.
Juice!
Juice.